Hello, third graders, and welcome to the last week that we're going to be learning a little bit more about fractions and how to add and subtract them. We're also going to be learning about simplified form this week. So in your workbook, in your assigned pages, you're going to see where it says use simplified form. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So for our first problem, I want to show you on 109 how to understand why we add fractions the way that we do. So on problem B, it says 2/8 of the triangle are going to be colored blue, or the rectangle are going to be colored blue, and then 5/8 of the rectangle are going to be colored green. So right here, I shaded in 2/8 of it blue and 5/8 of it green. Well, as you can see, there are 7 shaded spots in this rectangle that are shaded. So we can already see that only 1/8 of them is left, giving us 2/8 plus 5/8 is going to give us what? Well, we know that 7 of the boxes are shaded, so therefore we have 7/8. So that's the answer to that problem. And as you can see, we did not change our denominator. We kept our denominator the same. So whenever you're adding fractions or subtracting fractions, you're always keeping your denominator as the same number. So moving on to the next page, we're going to be continuing to add our fractions together. But we're going to be using simplest form. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So if I have 1/4 plus another fourth, I'm going to first look at my denominator, and I'm going to keep my denominator as 4, and I'm going to add my numerator. 1 plus 1 is 2. Well, it says use simplest form. What that means is you want to see if your fraction can be simplified. And you can do that by understanding if something can be divided into these numbers the same, then it can be simplified. Well, 2 can go into 2 once, and 2 can go into 4 twice. So we're going to use what is called our magic number again, but we're going to be dividing. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 4 twice, giving us 1/2. So actually, 1/4 plus 1/4 in simplified form gives us 1/2. We're going to do one more problem together on this page. If we have 5/8 plus another 8, we're going to add our fraction together. We're going to keep our denominator. We're going to add our numerator. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6/8 can be simplified because 2 goes into 6/8 equally. So we're going to divide by 2, which will get 2 goes into 6 3 times, and 2 goes into 8 4 times, giving us 3/4 as the simplest form. So just to remind you what we did here, we kept our denominator, we added our numerator, and then we asked ourselves if we could simplify this number. And we did that by finding out that 2 can go into 6/8 equally, which gives us 3/4 as simplest form. On page 111, it asks you to write the missing number on the top of the page. What it means by that is it's going to ask you so it shows you 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. So we're going to be dealing with whole numbers in this scenario. So where it says 1, and then it has your arrow, and it says 1/3, it wants you to know what plus 1/3 is going to equal 1 whole. Well, 1 whole of 1/3 would equal 3/3. So we need to find out. So this is our 1 whole. We need to find out how we got off 1 whole. Well, the way to do that, I'm going to erase this and show you. So 3/3 is 1 whole, right? And we're dealing with 1/3. So we're going to actually just subtract the 1/3. We're going to keep our denominator. We're going to minus our numerator, 3 minus 1 is 2, giving us 2/3. Well, the way we can check that is 2/3 plus 1/3 gives us 1 whole. which 2 plus 1 is 3, and you keep your denominator. So that's what you're doing right there. You're finding out what plus that number is going to equal 1 whole. Down on page 111, we're going to be adding 3 fractions together. So whether you're adding 2 fractions together or 5 fractions together, doesn't matter how many fractions there are, you're always going to keep your denominator the same when you're adding. 3 over 10 plus 2 over 10 plus another tenth. We're going to keep our denominator the same. And then we're going to add our numerator. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. So we have 6 tenths. We're going to write this in simplest form. Can we simplify this? Yes. 2 goes into 6 3 times, and 2 goes into 10 5 times, giving us 3/5. So whenever we're writing in simplified form, we're looking at the product that we got and figuring out, can we reduce this anymore? So moving on to page 113, we're going to be subtracting now. When we're subtracting a fraction, we're still using the same rule with our denominator. We are always keeping our denominator as the same. So for problem B, it says 4/5 minus 2/5 is going to equal what? Well, we keep our denominator. We minus 2 from 4 from our numerator. We get 2/5. We cannot reduce 2/5 anymore, so we are done there. However, if we're doing a problem like problem F, we have 7/8 minus 1/8. We keep our denominator, as always. 7 minus 1 is 6. And then we have to find our magic number. Because in this problem, we can reduce. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 2 divided by 8 is 4. Reducing to 3/4. On page 114, we're going to be subtracting more than one number. Just like how we were adding with more than one fraction, now we're going to be subtracting more than one fraction. I want to do problem A with you though really quick to show you how whole numbers are used in this situation. So if I have 1 whole minus 1/4 minus another 4th, I have to change this whole number so that I can do this problem. And the only way that I can do that is I know I have to have the same denominator, right? So we know that 1 whole, since we're dealing with 4s, would actually just be the same as saying 4/4. So now we're going to subtract. We're going to keep our denominator, and we're going to subtract along with the numerator. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2, giving us 2/4, which we can simplify. 2/4 equals 1/2. We've shown you that before because our magic number is 2. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 4 twice, giving us 1/2.